moving on to our unit on properties of real numbers. Or actually, the specific topic with our unit is properties in combining like terms with rationals. So the heart of today's lesson is being able to identify and apply properties of real numbers, because what we want to do is use properties of algebra to generate equivalent expressions. That means commutative, look at this, commutative, found it, it's right here, commutative property, associative property, to be able to combine like terms, to simplify. We're going to deal with expressions today. We got all that level 2 vocab words that we're going to be dealing with today. So, here we go. First thing you need to know, equivalent means that two statements are the same. So, when we use properties of rational numbers, we are just generating statements that are really the same as the previous statement. And here's the properties that we're going to use as 7th graders. So the first one is commutative property. Commutative property is just flipping the terms around. And if you look at the front of your note packet, I even had that. I know Miss Nini has the cute little flip-flops for commutative property. It's just flipping the terms around. So A plus B would equal, flip it, B plus A. They are equivalent. They mean the same thing. This works for addition and multiplication. You can flip things around all day long with addition and multiplication. The next thing is associative property. Associative property means that you move the parentheses to different numbers. Excuse my abbreviation there. So that is grouping new numbers together. Associating new numbers together. I think of that root word associate, like who's in the group. Right now, on this first example, B and C are associating together. And then, on the next side, it's equivalent to A and B associating together. So, if you like to see numerical examples, it'd be like this. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is equal to, have the 1 and 2 hang out, 1 plus 2 plus 3. They're the same thing. It doesn't matter. Associative property. Again, only with addition and multiplication. So in your homework today, you're going to see it worded by the operation symbol it's using. So if I said, hey, what property is this? You would choose commutative property of addition, okay, because I'm adding. If I was multiplying, you'd say commutative property of multiplication. Okay, an identity property, it stays the same. You have identity property of multiplication and identity property of addition. So multiplication would be like this. 3/4 times 1 stays 3/4. They stay the same. That's identity property of multiplication. You could have -8 plus 0 equals -8. That is identity property of addition. My initial value stayed the same, it didn't change. 0 turns the whole expression to 0. So you end with a 0. Like if I have 5 times 8 times 0 times 9, and the whole answer is 0, it's 0 property. So 0 property of multiplication, the whole thing turns to 0. Okay? One more thing that some of us will see, you're going to have, it's called the multiplication, so abbreviate with me, multiplication prop or property of -1. Now, not all of my classes are going to see this, but there are some classes in their homework they will. Multiplication property of -1 is huge. What it does is it changes signs. Okay? I can turn something that's negative into a positive by timesing through by -1. Okay, we see this a lot in 8th grade, and we see it a lot with solving equations. We'll see it actually next unit. If you have something like negative x equals 5, x is not solved for. X is negative. So you'd want to change the signs of both of them. You utilize the multiplication property of -1. That means you times through by -1, it will change the sign. So that would be x equals -5. Okay? So multiplication property of -1 is just when I change signs from a positive to a negative or negative to a positive. Alright, so first learning target is to identify properties. X plus 0 equals x. What's that? Tell me. X plus no, different. Identity, I stayed the same, right? So x plus 0, I stayed x. That is identity. In your homework, it will say identity property of addition because I'm adding. I'm not going to do all that. The next one, 3 plus parenthesis 5 plus x equals 3 plus 5 in parenthesis plus x. What's that one? Because new numbers are hanging out together, right? I have 5 and x, or my parentheses move. I have 5 and x hanging out, then 3 and 5 hanging out. That would be associative property. Don't abbreviate that one. Associative property of what? Of what? Addition, because I'm adding. Yep. 10x 0 equals 0. 0 property of multiplication. So this would be 0 property because it turned to 0. Right? 5 plus 2x equals 2x plus 5. Commutative. Nobody's associating together here. There's no group. Think about groups. You're like in this little area together, also known as parentheses. But yeah, there's no group. I just flipped. Flipping is commutative property of what? Addition. Yeah. And I'm not going to write all that. But it will be on your Schoology. Yx equals xy of multiplication. So this is also commutative property. So that's first expectation, is being able to identify. Then the application level is simplifying expressions using properties. Now here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this look super, super fancy. You don't always have to, but I'm going to show you how you can use properties in order to simplify or generate equivalent statements. This is really 4 times 3 times x. Which property did I use there? Associative. So it might say justify your answers. So I am simplifying this. I can justify it, which means say, why can you do it? I can do it because of associative property. Okay? Then 4 times 3 is 12 times x. And that's all you can do. And that would just be a multiplication fact. So that's just a fact. Okay? That's me justifying, using properties to move things around so I can generate that equivalent statement. Here I have 4 plus 7b plus 8. Now watch how I'm going to handle this. Okay, which property did I just use there? Commutative. I flipped. Commutative, because my goal, I'm trying to get it closer to that other number that it's like, because they both don't have variables. So this was commutative property. Now, 7b plus parenthesis 4 plus 8. What's that? Associative property, because I'm regrouping. Then I have 7b plus 12, and that's just me doing an addition fact. Okay, so that's me justifying. Now, I don't always do that, because my goodness, that would take forever. But that's that level 4, being able to justify your steps and go in that route. Here's what I do. So you can move things around because of commutative and associative property. I don't show all that. I just do it. So on this next one, if I have 6 plus 4h plus 3, I just am combining like terms. 6 and 3, I would combine together 9, And then it's best to put that variable first, the one with the variable first. Okay, so 4h plus 9. Okay? Alrighty. And then the next one are just fraction ones. 12x over 4 is really 12 over 4 times x, which is 3x. Okay? That's just me regrouping. X over 3, or x over 3x, you can cancel that out, 1/3. Remember, you got to make that 1 come out if it's on the top. And then the next one, 6 over 2 xy, oh, no, okay, my bad. 6xy over 2y. 6 over 2 would be 3. Cancel out your y's, it would be 3x. So just so you know here, you can, if you want to be super fancy, you can justify all of your steps when you simplify an expression. But you don't have to, okay? I think I make you on one problem do it, but that's all. That's all you have to do, okay? And try to put the term that has the variable first. Last part of today's lesson. Being able to use properties to do mental math. So we want to take these properties and do mental math. Mental math, fast math. So what you want to do is group together facts you know. Facts you know are tens or ending in a 0. Because you can do things really fast with tens. Add 10, multiply by 10. Anything that has a 0 at the end seems to be super quick for us to do stuff. So the first one, 4 times 6 times 25. Well, if I went 4 times 6 is 24 times 25, it would take me a little bit. So I want to think, okay, I got to be able to do something. Oh, 4 and 25 is 100. 100 times 6, 600. So that helps me group things together and get math done super fast. The next one, 8 plus 13 plus 12 plus 7. If you went left to right, you would get super stressed out. I look, how can I end in a 10 or a 0? 8 and 12 will give me a 0 at the end. 13 and 7 will give me a 0 at the end. This turns to 20 plus 20, 40. Okay, no calculator today. You should be able to apply. Now, and why can I do this? Because I could flip things around. Flipping is commutative property. The next one, 6 times 2 times 20. That one's just kind of awkward. I think all of them are kind of a fast way to do it. Let's see. I'm going to go 20 times 2. You don't have to. They all kind of happen fast. So that would be 40 times 6, 240. Okay? And then, look at this. Look at down here. 4 plus 9 plus 16 plus 8 plus 11. You're trying to end in a 0. So a 4 and a 6 would give me a 0. What else?
9 and 11.
9 and 11 would give me a 0. So this is 20. That's 20. So that would be 40 plus my leftover 8 would be 48. Okay? And then decimals. So I have 1.23 plus 4.5 plus 1.07. Again, trying to end in a 0. So these two can combine together because 0.23 and a 0.7 gives me a 0.3. So it would be 0.3, 1.3, 2.3, right? So 2.3 plus 4.5 would be 6.8, not 8.8. What the goodness. 6.8 would be my final answer. Okay? So your goal with these fast facts is to just group together things that would end in a 0.